Well, Friday, we've got banter with Debi Evans, and the week is not disappointed again.
Ooh. Where did the week go? And it's suddenly Friday, and the week's just seemed. Is it me, or is time speeding up?
No, I think time is speeding up. I'm convinced of it. I can't believe it's Christmas, to be honest with you. Blink of an eye, it was Christmas.
I know.
2012.
Well, I mean, I keep saying to people, when they talk to me about flu and they talk to me about COVID and all the rest of it, I go, you know what, guys, that was 6 years ago. 6 years ago.
I know.
What? People have forgotten. We mustn't forget.
Oh, we never must forget, ever. And I know we've got a lot to get through, Debi. A lot to get through. So let me. So this week, there's a numerous big stories which all tie into the madness of what's going on in our world anyway. And at the beginning of the week, there was an horrific event that happened at Bondi Beach in Australia, and not to talk, too much detail of opinion, really, because this, opinions can get you in trouble these days, can't it? But there's clear with these kind of events, and I've always made it clear in my videos, things like 9/11, etc. Horrible things happen to people. People lose lives, but the problem being is these events are used to steer populations in one way or another, and I would imagine that the Bondi Beach event, similar to the Manchester event recently, that happened with a knife attack, and then the police involved, very, very, very similar. That it's going to steer things regarding hurty words. But let's bring some. I don't know how much you've seen of this, Debi, but I've got some questions to ask about the event, which I think there's nothing wrong with us asking questions, and this is what I want to do, really. So if I share my screen, and let's start with the report that came through on Good Morning Britain, and then we can move forward onto the other areas of this, really. So let's start with this.
The Jewish community have already made their dedication there, haven't they, to the victims of this attack?
Yes, they have. Morning to you both. The organisers here at this event at Trafalgar Square over the next 8 days have said that their thoughts are with the victims of the attack at Bondi, but also the huge menorah that's been set up here in Trafalgar Square is now lit, they say, as a powerful symbol of light overcoming darkness. Thousands will attend Trafalgar Square this week for Hanukkah. There will be a much more visible police presence and stringent security checks as well taking place for the thousands of people who are coming here. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, said that the government will be focusing on policing events here in London and throughout the country as well. He was photographed last night with his wife lighting the menorah at number 10 Downing Street as well. We've been talking to the family of the British-born rabbi who was killed in the Bondi attack. He was initially from London. He grew up in the north of the city.
He was describing in the lead up to today's menorah lighting event that he was organizing, that thankfully he's managed to delegate lots of the tasks to others, and then that way he could be out in the crowd, and to be taken so brutally at such a special ceremony is something really horrific.
So a lot of extra policing over the next week or so, but it's important to stress the police aren't responding to any specific threat in the country. It really is about reassurance and safety for now.
Okay, so I automatically, just from that report, can see where everything is heading just from that report. But let's just jump in. So there was a Jewish international human rights lawyer called Arsen Ostrovsky, I think his name is, who was badly injured in the horrific terror attack, as they're calling it, at Bondi Beach. Now, interestingly, he'd recently moved from Israel to Australia. Have you seen this gentleman, Debbie?
No,
have you seen any of this? Okay,
No.
so let's bring this on then, because this is going to be important. Let me share my screen.
I was here with my family. It was a Hanukkah celebration. There were hundreds of people. There were children. There were elderly, families enjoying themselves, children, kids at a festival, playing. And then all of a sudden, it's absolute chaos. There's guns, fire everywhere, people ducking. It was absolute chaos. We didn't know what was happening, where the gunfire was coming from. I saw blood gushing in front of me. I saw people hit, saw people fall to the ground. My only concern was, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my family? I survived October 7th. I lived in Israel the last 13 years. We came here only 2 weeks ago to work with the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. You know, we've lived through.
So what we've got here is a gentleman that was at the October 7th incident as well, and all of a sudden he finds himself on Bondi Beach, and
lightning doesn't strike twice, does it?
Well, it seems to do in this one, but no, I'm not going to show it because I don't know how YouTube will react. But he actually took a selfie, Debbie. He managed to find the strength during all of this to take a selfie of his blood covered face and head after he'd been shot in the head.
It's funny, because I was going to ask you how, I've actually written it down, how was he able to speak? How was he able to be interviewed when he's got swathed in bandages, covered in blood? It almost looked, dare I say, don't throw custard pies too soon, it almost looked slightly staged, didn't you feel? I felt it was slightly staged.
Well, yeah, this is interesting. So what Sarah said, she went to the bank clerk when anti-Arab insisted all was real, that shooters were Arabian, and I listened, observed, belief in narrative, lack of critical thinkers, frankly frightening. Yes, it's easy for people to fall for anything really that you're being shown. Now, I'm asking you as a nurse, Debbie, would they have cleaned his face when they bandaged him?
Yes. So, I mean, for a start, if you've got somebody with any form of head injury and, you know, a wound, a head injury, you are going to do what's called neurological observations on them. So number one, if they've sustained an injury like that, they're going to be in shock. That's number one. So you would treat them for shock. You would probably put an intravenous drip up on them because they would probably be, well, they're losing clearly blood. They're losing fluid. There was no blood on the bandage, exactly. I would certainly not be allowing somebody, there is a video of this guy sitting and having the makeup applied. The makeup is on the table by his side. There, Sarah, thank you for that.
I'll just add to that I've looked into that, and it's AI. It's one of the reasons why I've not put this off. There's some discrepancies within that photograph, which is why I'm not going to bring that one up. Fair enough. There's definitely something
be in that
bizarre.
If he'd been shot in the head, I'm telling you, he would have been lying down. He would have been having, he would have been whisked off to hospital. He wouldn't be still on the beach covered in a bandage with blood. It just wouldn't have happened. He would have had paramedics. He would have needed his blood pressure taken, his vital signs. He would have been in shock, maybe rehydrate. Maybe he would have needed surgery. He would have had some sort of medical assessment. It all looked very homemade.
Yeah. And this is interesting as well. The attacker was Googled 24 hours before the attack in Israel. The actual name was Googled from Israel, which is interesting as well. I'm just asking questions. This is all I'm doing right now, and I think that's important. It's alleged as well that the guy is former IDF as well, but I mean that's allegedly, so I don't know.
So South African, he had a South African accent, it sounded.
Well, no, the attacker, I mean, but this is. I want to show a video of. I mean, again, YouTube probably won't like this too much, but I'm just going to show a bit of footage of of some of the shooting that was going on, and I want to see what your thoughts are here and what you see.
Oh my God.
I just don't understand.
Jogging by in the background.
There's people seemingly casually walking around. Now I've got this footage here as well, which I'll show you. Let me just bring this one up as well. This is why I'm asking questions, you know, and I think it's important that we ask questions of what's going on, that we don't just...
I was asking when I saw one bit of the video was you can hear sirens in all of these recordings, sirens, but you see no police.
Yeah, well, that's true, and he's very open, so a sniper could have taken him out at any time as well. Now, again, you've got just casually wandering around, casually. It's weird.
Well, no, but actually, if you think about it, do you remember when the shooting outside the synagogue?
Yes.
So I watched video of that. Somebody had posted it on social media. And again, there were people just strolling past.
Strolling around, yeah.
It's like, I'm not getting this at all. Literally, if I heard shots and if I saw somebody, I'd be gone. I'd be running. I'd just run.
Yeah.
And so but it happened in the in the synagogue shooting as well, where there were people just walking past. There was a body on the ground. One poor man had been shot dead. And they didn't know, but they just walked past like it was. The normalization of it was scary.
But again, there's a drone footage. So if they've got time to do all this filming, where's the police right now?
Well, that's what I mean. And you know what? I've been watching, and I've said it for ages, I've been watching the auditors in immigrant hotels. I'm telling you, they've only got to flash their headlights on the road, the approach road to the hotel, and there are police vans en masse. There's police cars, there's vans. Police appear from everywhere. So you can hear the sirens on all of these tape, and yet nobody is around. There are no police. There's no police presence at all. Where are they?
Exactly. It's just so strange. And okay, but we know where this is heading, right, Debbie? So let's put some footage out from sort of ministers and news reports, and we can discuss this as well, because all of this is important. By the way, I'm no expert by any stretch, and I never would claim to be, but I have read things where the gunman was shooting at such a precision in terms of the speed of where he was using the rifle, that he was trained as well. It wasn't just some lunatic that had managed to get a gun and gone onto the beach. You know, it was something else. Let's play this though, because this is, again, we should listen to all of this.
And I want to conclude finally by saying that the government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. And this afternoon at 4 o'clock, I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals. A review of licenses over a period of time. People's circumstances change. People can be radicalised over a period of time. Licenses should not be in perpetuity. And checks, of course, making sure that those checks and balances are in place as well. We will I'll take to National Cabinet this afternoon a proposal to empower agencies to examine what can be done in this area. Quite clearly, the Howard government's gun laws have made an enormous difference in Australia, and a proud moment of reform, quite rightly, achieved across the Parliament with bipartisan support.
So obviously, I think the Australians have similar gun laws to the UK, I think, and they're not like America. I think they've already got quite, you know, it's not that easy to get a gun anyway, but we'll move on. But yeah, Sarah, you are right. Of course they want us in a spin. You know, and AI is going to make discernment very, very difficult for the majority of us that are looking for truth, because it's going to get tougher and tougher as they've already got technology way beyond that we already have access to. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're being used all the time.
I think
would imagine.
my message for the future, though, with regards to exactly that, is how can we discern, is that I didn't know that there was something. I mean, there's an internet. There's internets of everything. There's internets of nothing. There's internet of the human body. There's internet of. There's also internet of the senses, and that's coming in. So we are. If you're going to go into that new internet era, you are going to be caught in that trap. It's that simple. So anything that's coming out on the internet of senses, or the internet of bodies, or the internet of things, or this new metaverse is fake. You know, it's on the tin, artificial intelligence. It's artificial. If it's artificial, it means it's fake. It's not authentic. It's not real. It's fake. So you have to think, well, the internet of the future is going to be artificial, so you're not going to be able to trust anything in it. So the best thing to do is not subscribe to it, because what are you going to do when you wake up one day and you can't get onto Facebook, you can't get onto X, you can't get onto your emails, because you've got to go through all of this biometric data, facial recognition. But by then you've bought into it, because you're entrapped in the internet of senses, where you're going to be able to say you've got a relative in Australia and they've had a baby. So you're going to be able to be there with them, and you're going to be able to smell the baby. You're going to be able to feel the baby. It's all about this new tech that's coming in via the internet. And if you're going to buy into it, then it's artificial. Everything in the future is going to be artificial. That's why we have to stay really back to our own. We have to stay organic. We can't afford to go. The minute you are asked for biometric data, everything's artificial.
Yeah, they want. Well, we've said that we need to do a full episode on transhumanism, and we'll probably have to do a special on something like that, because it is crucial to what's actually happening. And interested to know your instant thought when you see this headline.
Suspicion falls on Iran for Bondi Beach terror. Convenient, I'd say.
Convenient indeed, isn't it? Just Mossad,
I mean, the whole
apparently
thing's engineered.
yeah, exactly. And Mossad have officially joined the investigation, apparently.
Oh, that's a surprise.
There's a surprise.
No. Don't forget, and this is all to keep you safe.
Of course it is to keep you safe. Of course it is.
But it's to keep you, the citizens of the United Kingdom, you, the citizens of Australia. We are here to keep. We cannot possibly have these mad gunmen running around. And I mean, it could be this, it could be that, it could be that group, it could be terrorists, it could be. We cannot possibly have any of our precious citizens who pay their taxes, who we love so much, and we're here to protect. We cannot have them in danger. We have to keep them safe. And
of course,
this is the one thing that I found most difficult since the whole COVID thing, is that, you know, when you say to people, and I've said to my mum, I said, Mum, when will you start to realize that the government isn't here to save you? The government is actually trying to kill you. And she just looked at me and she said, I can't believe that. The only thing that she can believe when she's at risk is when bombs start falling out of the sky. She thinks that's when we're being invaded. These quiet invasions, cyber invasion, artificial intelligence invasion, immigrant invasion, all of these kind of stealth. She's expecting doodlebugs. She still expects doodlebugs, bless her. And so she can't possibly accept that her government is trying to harm her. And I've talked to her about democide. I've talked to her about ethnocide. But she just cannot accept that the king and the country are there to do anything but protect her.
Deep programming, though, Debbie. Deep programming. That's the
really
thing.
Deep programming.
So a chief rabbi in this country has called for mass censorship on citizens who speak against Israel. Just thought I'd bring that up as well. I'd like to show you a little clip on how the mainstream media have everything kind of in lockstep, if you like, at the moment in terms of the script that they play out. Because again, I'm just asking questions, not saying anything else.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. The rise in anti-Semitism in Australia. The rise in anti-Semitism in Australia. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. Anti-Semitism is on the rise.
The rise in anti-Semitism. The rise in anti-Semitism. The
rising of anti-Semitism.
Don't need to play much more than that because it's obvious what's going on there.
I am programmed now. I am programmed.
Well, let's bring back the gentleman that managed to pull a selfie on the beach. Let's bring this guy back now because he's playing a very important role in whatever this is all about. So let's have a listen to him now.
Bullet had grazed my head to the bone. It was millimeters from life and death. There is no shortage of measures that can be introduced. I know that the Prime Minister has had for some months now a report from the Special Envoy on Anti-Semitism, Gillian Siegel. That report has been on the Prime Minister's office desk for months and months. I think there needs to be questions asked why the proposals were not actioned. It's imperative that in the steps moving forward, that the Prime Minister and the government as a whole, that they listen to the community. For the last 2 years, how many warnings have we given? How many times have we had to say, this is dangerous, left unchecked, this will explode, lives will be lost?
Yeah.
Don't
he hasn't
buy
finished
any
though.
of it, I'm afraid, from him.
Well, it's not finished yet. I've got another one.
No. Oh no.
Sorry about this.
Oh no.
I'm only asking questions.
Do.
My family and I relocated back here barely a few weeks ago. Of all things, to take up the job with the Jewish community combating anti-Semitism.
Oh, that word again.
Our children, my elder daughter who's 8, she asked me, Abba, Daddy, does that mean no more boomies? Meaning no more rockets, no more sirens, no more running to bomb shelter. And I said, no, sweetie, no more boomies. You're safe. This is Australia. I was wrong.
That's quite a powerful little moment there that he's played in there. Yeah, he's played a card there, which is very emotional. Falls right in line of going, hold on a minute. If you're an Australian, you're like, oh, I thought we were in a safe country, and we're obviously not now, and we must protect. So it's a very interesting psychological little.
I don't quite.
Twist.
I don't quite. I'm still not quite there with the story though, because he's come to Australia, but he has. Is it a very strong Australian accent, or is there some South African? I don't know. If it's maybe a very, very strong Australian accent, but that man is standing there, and he seems to really enjoy the camera. It's almost as though he's had media training. He's speaking at the camera. He's very confident. There's no ums and uhs. He's not in shock at all. He's got a bandage, some sort of bandage perched on the. I've never seen a head dressing like that before, to be honest. And he just seems way too. If you know what? Seriously though, if somebody shot us, we would not be standing there in front in immaculate clothing, calm as anything, able to recount it, putting out a narrative, putting out a message. We'd be in shock. I'm sorry. Do you know what? That was the most tragic. It's for the people that have been lost, for the people that have lost their lives, for their families. This is absolutely shocking. And that performance, to me, it appeared to be an orchestrated, scripted, very clever, assured, confident performance, and not one that I would expect somebody that's just been shot it just didn't feel right. I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either, and that's why I thought we'd have a quick look at it and bring it up. But did you know there was a party this week at number 10? The Stam's had a little party.
Another one at party. Oh, it seems to be the rage, isn't it? Going to number 10 for parties, Partygate.
Yeah,
I'm doing that
you're
again.
like, there you go.
Oh.
I'm not saying there's anything agenda-wise going on here, Debbie. I'm just asking questions and I'm just observing what's going on, really. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I was observing Keir Starmer there with the chief rabbi, and it's very interesting because the chief rabbi finds himself in all sorts of places. Did you know, for example, that when King Charles was coronated, it was obviously a Saturday, it was the Sabbath. So the chief rabbi was not allowed to go anywhere by public transport or by car or anyway, had to be walking distance. So King Charles, who was, by the way, circumcised by a rabbi when he was a baby. Yes, he was.
Interesting.
Yes, he was circumcised by a rabbi when he was a very young baby. But he had the chief rabbi stay at Clarence's house, I believe, with him the night before, in order that he would be able to walk to Westminster Abbey. And not only that, but I did quite a bit of research into the Jewish faith and the sign symbology towards the towards the monarchy and also towards the coronation. And all of those robes and gowns that you saw on the they were all made by Jewish tailors, and they were very, very proud of it. If you look up in the Jewish Chronicle, there's a lot of articles about how proud they are to be so close to the monarchy, how proud they were to be included. The Jewish faith was, well, all faiths were included in, I mean, the Pope sent, I think he sent oil from the Mount of Olives. He also sent a piece of wood that was meant to be included in the Celtic cross. That was and it was from the crucifixion. Apparently, it was part of the cross that Jesus was crucified on. So there was an awful lot of symbology. There's also a Cassato pavement in Westminster Abbey, which is meant to be a portal. It's very interesting because the thrones are right in the middle of this portal. So it was a very interesting coronation involving the Jewish faith, very, very much, more so than any other time.
There's always more that meets the eye, isn't there? What's going on?
Well, there's also Keir Starmer with the Friends of Israel, Labour Friends of Israel. You know, an awful lot of money goes in. And of course, Keir Starmer's wife is Jewish. So his children are brought up adhering to the Jewish faith. And I hear that Keir Starmer and his wife both attend synagogue very regularly. So there's a very, very close relationship with the Jewish faith and the Israeli nation, for sure.
Well, we're only asking questions, aren't we?
Well, another thing that I want to point out too, while we're on it, it's just a throwaway. It's just a throwaway, but there's a woman called Nicole Junkerman, and Nicole Junkerman she's referred to as the Bond girl. She's meant to be a CIA Mossad agent, and she was involved with the very formation of the NHSX when Matt Hancock chaired it. So Nicole Junkerman, a lot of work. Johnny Vedmore has done a huge amount of work on her, Nicole Junkerman. And I just found out last week or the week before, she's just been made an honorary professor, and I can't remember which university it is. It's a university in the UK, but she's just been made an honorary professor of a university here. And she's CIA, Mossad, Epstein papers, you name it. And when you see her on a picture, she's like about 6'3", very in your face, and has got all sorts of business connections, but that's Mossad. You know, Mossad seems to be tied into pretty much everything. Palantir, for a start, all of our NHS data, Mossad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. It's all hurty words as well, isn't it? I mean, we're heading towards the whole Fort police. That's where we're heading. And did you see that there was a guy that has been jailed for 18 months for 2 anti-immigration tweets made after the Christmas market attack, which was viewed 33 times. Anybody who takes any note of the occultists that are very much heavily involved in controlling the world that we're in uses the number 33 quite a lot. So I found that quite interesting, really. But this is the whole point of what's going on here. Hurty words, censorship, controlling people, stopping people from saying anything, controlling the internet, controlling speech, free speech, which doesn't exist.
No. I think we have to stop saying those two words together, because it doesn't exist anymore. It makes no sense. So speech is monitored, surveyed, tracked, traced, and punished. You know, you're punished for speech, but it's not going to be just thought police. You're going to be punished now. They're going to look at your facial expressions. So if you've got a facial expression that may indicate that you're angry or you're frustrated or whatever, they're going to pick up on that now. So it's even gone beyond thought police. It's gone now to facial recognition and what your behavior says, you know. And I used to get asked this by somebody that I used to work for, and we used to go on Zoom meetings, and I used to sit like this, and I got told off because, well, you look bored. And I said, I'm not bored. I'm listening. Well, you're very quiet. And I said, yeah, because I'm listening. And then if I was in a meeting that I would talk too much, it would be, oh, you know, can you shut up a minute? You're going on a bit. So I'd shut. So there was never but it was by my facial, well, you look bored. Well, are you all right? Well, you don't look very happy. And I said, no, I'm just listening. But people take so much meaning from a gesture or a look. Yeah. And they misinterpret that look. And sometimes that misinterpretation, it can change the whole conversation. You know, you can end up having an argument with somebody and saying, well, no, I'm perfectly fine. No, you're not. You looked grumpy. No, I'm really fine. I was just concentrating. Because people are taking such notice and they're becoming offensive now, and they're worrying that, have I offended you? Have I upset you? So now I get worried that maybe my facial expression is probably being, somebody's thinking, no, she doesn't think that. She thinks that. You've got to be so careful. The internet, they're scanning you for everything. These scans, have you seen these new speed cameras? Did I tell you about those last week? These 4D AI speed cameras that can see in your car, see what your passengers are doing. They can see through walls. I mean, like you said earlier, the technology that they've got is way in advance of what they're showing us.
Oh, without a doubt. And before we move on, I believe X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Elon Musk, who is apparently the commander of free speech, and calls England, Britain a prison island. We know how bad it is over here, but Elon Musk has changed the terms and conditions, or he won't have, because I don't think he actually rules anything. He's just a front man. But apparently they can now check your private messages. They can also use that if needed, if requested, but also they can use your drafts, not necessarily what you sent. So you could have thought of something, thought about sending something. It's in your drafts, and because even if you didn't send it, even if you didn't mean it, you know, where we had some lady, apparently, we've had people have been arrested for posts. You know, maybe you're in anger at that point, you're about to send something, then you don't, and it's in your drafts. They can still use it.
And yet a lot of therapists and counselors will say to people, write things down if you feel you need to offload, if you're holding stuff in and you're holding emotions, and maybe there's a letter you want to send to somebody, you may not want to post it, but you just want to write it. People are saying, you know, and people go to their keyboards because we're not used to writing letters. Youngsters are so used to texting, and they're so used to email and digitally communicating, they've forgotten how to write. They don't know what a letter is. So when people are offloading and been trying to do something maybe cathartic, all of a sudden that's going to be flagged up as, they're an extremist. You haven't got any. The World Economic Forum weren't joking. You will own nothing. You will have no privacy. No.
Yeah. They weren't joking at all. They were not fooling about. Okay, so war's been at a front as well this week. Again, conscription, as they've been, you know, so Russia is the threat. again to the UK.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Of course it is. Of course it is. So let's listen to Air Chief Marshal Sir Rich Knightington's speech.
We should also be honest that perhaps the most obvious impact on all of us will be the cost of building this resilience. Sons and daughters, colleagues, veterans will all have a part to play, to build, to serve, and if necessary, to fight. And more families will know what sacrifice for our nation means. That's why it's so important that we do explain the changing threat and the need to stay ahead of it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, we certainly, what was it I wrote down? We will all have our part to play, for sure. I'm not quite sure it's going to be the part that he's expecting us to play, because when I talk to people around me and I ask them about what do they think about conscription, and there's no way, the youngsters that I've spoken to have all said not a chance, not a hope. No. So I said, so what if you wake up one morning and you've got no access to your mobile phone, you've got no access to your bank account, but they tell you that you've got all your, you can have your money back, you can have money on top, you can have this and that as long as you sign up. What are you going to do? Are you going to sign up to get all of your convenient social media and your money back from your bank, or are you going to stand and say, no, I'm not going to do it? Because that's worrying me when it comes to the youngsters, because I think about my sons and they've got, their wives and their children, and they have a responsibility to feed their children and to keep their families safe. So if the chips are down and all of a sudden there's no money coming in and there's no food going on the table, and the only option is that one of my sons or one of my daughter would have to go and sign up, would they do that for their family? Yes, they probably would. Of course they would. You would. To get food on the table for your children, to provide, you'd go to war. That's what our veterans did. And I was so sad, Ant, so sad when I saw a veteran who was talking about a digital ID and the way that this country was going. And he said, I said, I think we played the clip. It was very powerful. I saw my friends, my colleagues die in their thousands. They're not here now today, and we're looking at them. I wish we'd never bothered. He said, I wish we'd never.
I know it was very powerful.
That was so powerful. And I look at my children and I think the timeline on the front line in Ukraine is 20 minutes. And for our youngsters to go and fight abroad, they're not trained. They're not has any training. One of my sons is a kitchen fitter. Another of my sons works on the roads. I've got a daughter who's an accountant. They're not trained. Yeah, they're fit, they exercise, they go to the gym, but they're not trained. They don't know anything about military world, and we would be waving them goodbye, and we would never see them again.
Not on my watch. It's not happening.
It's good. The brave thing to do, in my opinion, is to stay. And that's why I get really mad with people when they're broadcasting from other countries. They're Brits living in other countries and they're going on about, you've got to fight, the Brits have got to stand up to this, and they're out in another country. And I've always said, no, I was English. I'm born in England. I was brought up in England. It's my country. I will fight and I will die in England. I will not allow any of my children to go abroad and fight for this country when the fight has been engineered by this country. Well, what the heck does he think he's saying? He's saying to every single person, we are expecting you to get up off your asses and fight for the country. We're expecting you to do that. Well, I've got news for you, mate, because I think a lot of people, there'll be civil war before that happens, I believe.
Yeah. Let's listen to Keir Starmer, what he says about Russia.
For conflict and for chaos is already there, and it will only grow. And Russia is already menacing our skies, our waters, our streets, and our national security. We know some basics. Putin's appetite for conflict.
The thing is, I think I'll question who's affecting our skies, our water, and I'm pretty convinced it's nothing to do with Russia.
No, I mean, you wish, Keir, you just want to poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear. Now, I'm not saying that I'm pro or anti anybody here, but he's clearly trying to poke the bear. But of course, you know, with Russia comes China. So you can see how the whole thing's being engineered. They're desperate for war. When a country is on its knees, like the West at the moment is on its knees,
Yeah.
you know, it's war every time. They're just, nobody's got the guts to say we are in World War III, because we are. But because there aren't bombs and there aren't people, you know, with guns on our streets at the moment, you know, on every single neighborhood street, we haven't got blue helmets on the streets. People can't see it. So everybody now is still planning for Christmas, and they're looking at, you know, who they're going to be meeting up with and blah, blah, blah. People aren't seeing the bigger picture, sadly. And of course, all of this is happening around Christmas when people are doing different things and they're not paying attention.
No, it's war. We know change is here. Big change has been happening for a few years. They've decided on that change, and war allows people to come on side with big change. That's where war comes in. That's where your COVID comes in. That's where, you know, this is what digital ID and everything else, it all falls in line for the big change that they plan and people to accept. That's why these events, Bondi Beach or whatever, these events are there for the general population to accept that and to beg the government for help.
Keep us safe. It's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I look forward and I think, oh my goodness, I can clearly see what they're engineering and what they're manufacturing. It's all planned, but at the back of it, of course, is China. And people are ignoring China because they're not really in the, I mean, okay, they may invade Taiwan and there's all the Taiwan geopolitics going on, but generally everybody's looking at Israel, Iran, Russia. But China's very quietly just sitting there in the background. But actually, it's China we should all be really worried about.
We're definitely going to come to China before the close of this. Yeah, we're definitely going to come to. But I found this video, and I'm pretty convinced this is parody. But let's watch this, because it kind of brings home what the youth might be, might feel of what's going on regarding joining the army.
Today, I signed up to the British Army to help defend the UK from Russia. And this is why you should too. A major conflict is actually highly likely. So if you want to defend values that you believe in, like equality, diversity, and inclusion, now is the time to sign up to the army and defend them throughout the world. The website was actually super inclusive and ultra accessible, and I felt totally safe throughout the application process. It even allowed me to upload my PhD essay on critical race theory and decolonialization. Being was actually perfectly suited to left-leaning people who value positive change. And if more progressive-leaning folks from all genders and backgrounds fill the ranks, we can permanently change the stagnant demographic of the British Army. It's time to reclaim the armed forces as a progressive force for positive change throughout the world. Stand up to patriarchal dictators like Vladimir Putin and create the kind of future we want for our children. I've already got my girlfriend and her boyfriend to sign up, and he's only been a British citizen for 2 weeks. It just goes to show, once you engage and inspire people to see a different kind of army that can fight war in a different kind of way, a lot of people will want to sign up. If you're ready to make the ultimate sacrifice for what you believe in, join the army today at jobs.army.mod.uk, and I'll see you on the front line.
It's the music as well. I was waiting for the conveyor belt to go back in front, because it was like a game show.
It was very good.
The army, meet you on the front line. Yeah, brilliant.
It was very, very good. Moving on, because obviously we don't have a lot of time. We've got quite a bit more to get through yet. But Labour have gone full on misogyny this week. We're going to hear a lot about this, I think, over the coming days. And our young boys in school are about to be reprogrammed.
Again,
this is where we're heading. So we've got the and there's an article here in the BBC actually, which kind of shows where we're going with this one. Boys to be sent on courses to tackle misogyny in schools. So teachers will be given training to spot and tackle misogyny in the classroom, while high-risk pupils could be sent on behavioural courses as part of the government's long-awaited strategy to halve violence against women and girls in the next decade. What do you think of that one, Debbie?
I see the word behavioural kind of like flashing like a red light. So yeah, behavioural. This is all about behaviour. This is all about programming, reprogramming children. But what's worse, and I spoke to an academic, Dr. Ursula Edgington in New Zealand, and she's always been saying, you know, when it comes to education, how do we now break the cycle of the teachers are being taught how to teach the children, how to program, that the teachers are being programmed first.
Yes.
And they're programming the children. And then it's just a cycle that how do you break it? And you have to. And I look at the behavioural, well, as soon as they mention behaviour in education, I automatically think autism spectrum. I automatically think ADHD. And I can tell you coming up in 2026, there are going to be some massive changes to personal independence payment and to universal credit, because what they're going to be looking at is removing many youngsters with behavioural challenges, i.e. ADHD, or maybe undiagnosed on the autism spectrum, and they're going to be taking all of the support from these kids, all of the PIP eligibility for these families away. And they're going to now, I can imagine that they're going to start sending pupils, because they've been doing this for a while now, where they send disruptive pupils or pupils that won't comply. They send them to behavioural hubs. And the guy, and I'll look it up for next week, because I did a Tom, my memory might come back to me in a minute, but his name's Tom, the guy that is in charge of the Department of Education behavioural hubs for children, is an ex-Soho Club bouncer who just decided to model and write a book on behaviour in a nightclub. He did get sacked from the nightclub, by the way. And then he found himself in the Department of Education because he'd written this book about behaviour as he'd seen it on a dance floor and in a nightclub. And he translated it into how to look after children in the classroom. And he's got himself in this big, huge role of behaviour change within education. So we can look at people like Susan Mickey, Professor Susan Mickey, of course.
Another communist.
Yeah, another, well, they call her Stalin's nanny, you know, her nickname is Stalin's nanny. So we're looking at this now cycle evolving of teachers are going to be taught to indoctrinate and reprogram our children to not find a bank account, because there won't be any bank accounts to find, not to how to learn to living skills, social skills. They're going to be taught about misogyny. Like I mean, that to me is just total manipulation, and it's reprogramming, and it's putting ideas into children's heads that they don't need to be there, quite frankly.
I've got a couple of clips of Jess Phillips. You like Jess Phillips?
Not a lot.
Young white working class boys be unfairly targeted with this?
Oh, absolutely not. This is something that will be rolled out across the country. And look, the patriarchal norms and misogyny is not something that is confined to any one group in society. And so this is across the country and across what we have committed to is rolling this out in every school by the end of the Parliament.
Like I said, not particularly.
Well, I've got another one. In fact, this was in Parliament, this particular clip. I'll play a little bit of this, and then Keir Starmer was on a TV show this week. I'll play a little bit of that because it all just ties in. They're having a good attack of Mr. Tate in all this as well. Mr. Tate is a big influence on young men, so they're having a good pop at him at the moment. Let's play that.
This strategy is designed to deliver 3 goals. Firstly, preventing boys and men from ever becoming abusers in the first place. Secondly, bearing down on perpetrators so those who have offended do not do so again. And finally, supporting victims so that they get justice when they seek it and the closure that they deserve. I will start with how we stop the violence before it starts. Because of the proliferation of content with the potential to poison young minds, the needs have never been greater. Our strategy tackles radicalisation and confronts concerning behaviour long before it spirals into abuse or violence. Education is undoubtedly key. We must empower teachers to challenge harmful attitudes and act before they escalate. So, to do so, we will invest 20 million to tackle harmful attitudes in young people. Our universal pledge is to fundamentally change how relationship, consent and attitudes can be embedded through education. This means changing the curriculum, developing teacher and external provider training on healthy relationships and consent. We will also develop targeted programmes for those starting to exhibit harmful behaviours, piloting interventions in schools, focusing in and managing the risk where abusive behaviours are already starting to show.
Yeah.
That's so scary. I mean, that really
Isn't
is.
it?
It really is worrying. And I mean, I'm fortunate. I fortunately don't have children of school age. All my children are grown up, but I do have grandchildren. And I think that's the reason that we're all here, isn't it? It's because of the kids. It's because of the future generations. Listening to her saying that is cold, it's calculating, it's callous, and it's extremely concerning because, you know, clearly you could see on the ticker on the right of that video, it said children as young as 11. 11. You know, children are not allowed to be children anymore. They are seriously not allowed to be children. Sarah and Debbie think this. Oh, your comments weren't posted.
Yeah, it could be, Sarah. Could be.
I mean, we've got to tell you what, Sarah, if you think that we're talking about stuff now that, you know, would be potentially fiddle with an algorithm, wait until the new year, because we have got some big stories to talk about that are brewing.
We have.
So
we have
just
indeed.
watch this space, folks, because seriously, there's stuff going on in the background that it'll come to light in the new year.
And we'll move forward from this misogyny, but I'll quickly go through because I had quite a lot of videos, but we haven't got the time. So on the James O'Brien show, there was a call that called regarding Andrew Tate again, that her stepson has displayed, you know, misogynistic behaviour, and she's worried. And then Jess Phillips has basically said there's a warrant out for Andrew Tate's arrest. They're going to tie in with this with tech. You know, obviously, again, this is why I think everything links in terms of the digital infrastructure that's moving forward and then the control infrastructure that's moving forward. They're going to use tech so youngsters cannot access photographs or imagery of nude ladies or whatever, because this is all against the fact that you know, we don't want boys becoming toxic masculinity. My question is, what have they got against masculinity anyway? I'm not saying toxic. People, for me, it's like, just don't be a wanker. It's like I don't, whatever toxic masculinity is supposed to be. Just don't be an arsehole to people. It's dead easy. It's not difficult. Your moral compass will tell you that. I don't need to be reprogrammed by the teachers to not be an arsehole. We're all, you know, as kids growing up, we learn in the playground that you know, at times you do naughty things and bad things, and you get if you've got a decent teacher or a decent parent, you learn. Yeah, of course you do. Don't need the government to teach me anything. But Starmer was on Loose Women.
Oh no!
Yeah, you know.
No, you could have given me a warning on this. No.
It was on Loose Women. You know, this is obviously a very masculine individual, isn't it?
And tackling that and preventative measures.
Oh, apologies.
Which I wholly embrace. My question to you is, you know, when it comes to this kind of thing with misogyny, it doesn't always scream, it often whispers. How are you tackling it, or is there misogyny at Westminster?
Oh, there's undoubtedly misogyny at Westminster. I think it's everywhere. I doubt, in truth, there are many people across the country who don't know somebody who's been subject to abuse. It is really difficult.
Well, you know someone very close, you know, one of our closest allies, shall we say, recently used the language quiet piggy. Would you allow for someone to speak to your daughter, your wife, your colleagues, in the way that Trump spoke to a female journalist?
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't.
And would you class that as misogyny, and would that be something you would be looking at?
I would call it out, but I would also say part of the stuff we're doing with teenagers is talking about behaviours they might not think are problematic, but in fact
that they learned online.
Yeah.
Learned online.
Learned online. So
Learned online. Learned online.
did you not think though that Keir Starmer, I was watching his face, he looked almost kind of startled, like kind of on edge. I don't know. And then I looked at, was that Mylene Klass?
I don't know who the hell it is.
Because if that was Mylene, no, but seriously, if that was Mylene Klass, I don't know what she's on. I don't know what kind of reconstruction or plastic surgery, or maybe she looks very, she's always slim, but she looks very hollow here. And I think I was just shocked. I don't have a television, so I haven't watched television for
I don't watch television either.
So I don't see loose women, but it looks to me the whole interview was just, it was just rubbish. It was just rubbish. And the way he's going, oh, I wouldn't do what Trump did. Oh no, remember the time, Keir, when you were standing there and you got told off by Trump right in front of you?
Yeah, that was quite funny, wasn't it? That was quite funny. I mean, I have seen Keir Starmer punch a punching bag, and I don't know what Keir would do, to be honest. But apparently the UK government have said they will use counter-terrorism tactics, apparently, against young boys that have been watching Andrew Tate videos and things like that. So that's kind of very, very concerning. That's why I wanted to bring that up. We haven't got long, but let's talk about China. We did briefly mention China before, and I think this is really, really important, because I certainly don't know how much influence China has in our country, in the West in general, but I would say they have quite an influence, especially the way the big brother tactics are working at the moment. It seems very Chinese model to me. There's something going on now. It was in the Sun. Now, obviously, the Sun. I don't tend to listen to or bother with mainstream media, but there's been hackers from China that have stole tens of thousands of secret files in major Foreign Office breach authorities. So this is obviously, as we are about to embark on this digital ID OneGov login, and it would highlight maybe some issues here, that they're able to steal tens of thousands of secret files. So this is obviously a concern. Now, I don't know what's going on there, but we can't trust our own government, I don't think.
Not in a million years.
And I'm certainly not convinced that the Chinese are not influenced in our government either.
Very much so.
It was yourself that was pointing me to the direction of Huan Yang, I think her name is. So she's an MP, is that right? So
she is indeed.
So she's the first UK's first Chinese-born MP, which is interesting. So
her history is too. Her CV is very interesting.
Okay.
So she was a journalist for the Financial Times. She was based out of Beijing. I mean, this is, we're talking about how China is influencing perhaps our government. And yet we have a Chinese MP already in Parliament. We also had an investigation, and it wasn't really in the mainstream media that much, but there was the MPs in government. I don't know whether she was one of them. They were saying there were secret Chinese police stations in the United Kingdom, and there was secret Chinese infiltration within the lobbies of the Palace of Westminster. There have been secret Chinese associations going on with the royal family as well. So China, this is what I say, people that are telling you that there's nothing to see in China, that China's a lovely place, and I'm sure it is, I'm sure there are beautiful places and the people are fantastic. However, there is an underlying agenda. They're very, very powerful. They're very clever. And let's not forget, they're allies with Russia. So, you know, when you look at Russia, you have to think, well, who's behind Russia? And you're looking at China. So everything goes back to China. And I honestly don't get Wuhan, an American military laboratory in China. It doesn't make sense to me. You know, I thought China and the USA was opposing superpowers. I didn't think that America or the USA would be having military laboratories in China. It just doesn't fit well in my head, should I say. So I am concerned about China.
Well, yeah, I didn't know about this until you told me about it as well, that there's been actual Chinese police stations in the UK, and that staggers me. That absolutely staggers me. Secret Chinese police stations have been found operating in 53 countries across the world. Wow. As the government announces, yeah.
I got censored. I actually got censored from reporting this once, twice actually. I got told I wasn't allowed to report on this, and it was all kind of pushed to the bottom of the pile. But I've always found it extremely concerning, especially when all of the MPs were demanding answers. They wanted to know about the Chinese infiltration, both within our own Foreign Office, our government, also academia, because when Xi Jinping came for his state visit a few years ago, the only place that he went to as an official visit was Imperial College, because Imperial College have got the largest number of Chinese alumni. So the Chinese influence in the United Kingdom, I mean, we've gone through the whole Huawei scandal and, you know, and Chinese mobile phones and how they're integrated in our telecommunications system. We have a big Chinese influence, and yet China never gets mentioned, does it? And when it does get mentioned, sometimes, you know, it's mentioned in a very positive way, but I'm not so sure that it's all, you know, rainbows and unicorns.
Very interesting. I'm sure there's more to come, but
there's most surely more to come. Absolutely more to come on this. I have got my eyes very firmly on China, and watching very carefully. You can and keep an eye on what everybody is reporting on China, is what I'd say.
Indeed, things are not what they seem at all.
No.
And
but you know what? I want to tell you a little bit of scandal. I know we're out of time, but I just got to tell you a little bit of scandal, because next week,
I love a scandal.
If we got to, well, it's this royal scandal. Look, Anne, I don't know if you know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's all over YouTube. You won't see it in mainstream media. So I'm just going to praise here, okay? So it's going to be a blah, blah, blah of a little bit of salacious royal scandal. And I'm not saying that any of what I'm saying is true, but everybody's talking about it. Everybody is literally, including Piers Morgan. So the thing is do you know that Meghan Markle apparently was a yacht girl and was involved in the whole Epstein ring? Yeah, was involved in all of that. Yeah. So she was a yacht girl, but no, it gets worse, because as a yacht girl, it's alleged that she had a very intimate relationship with none other than Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So she had an affair with him before she met Harry. Right?
Wow.
So that's the first bit of the scandal. The second bit of the scandal is that Fergie dropped the hint. So Sarah Ferguson dropped the hint that, oh yes, they'd met, blah, blah. And that's something, because Sarah Ferguson knows pretty much everything. And there's no love lost between her and Meghan Markle. So the second part of the scandal is that the children, Archie and Lilibet, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, are not her children, that they're surrogates, because she told her first husband that she couldn't have children, right? So now the ascension of the children and their succession and should they be prince and princess is all in question. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, tragically, Thomas Markle Sr., Meghan Markle's father, who now lives in the Philippines, who has been shunned by his daughter for years and years and years, he became extremely ill. He's already had a stroke and a heart attack, and she still doesn't contact him. But then he had a blood clot, and he had to have his leg amputated. So he was in intensive care in the Philippines. Thomas Markle Jr., who, let's face it, is no fan of his sister, he's got to pay for the care for his father, and they've got no money. They're literally skint. So has Meghan Markle contacted her father? No, but she sent a consular official with a letter to pretty much invite a Netflix crew in to film it all, which hasn't gone down very well with either Samantha Markle, Thomas Markle Jr., or Thomas Markle Sr. Meanwhile, the Daily Mail reporter, Caroline, I can't remember her surname, she has been a confidant to Thomas Markle Sr. for ages and is a really, really good, close personal friend, as well as being the journalist on site. And that's all creating carnage. So now there is this huge rift where apparently King Charles will never speak to Harry again. The rift is over. That's it. It's dead. But now they're threatening to maybe expose things. They call it the Sussex team. They're threatening to expose things. So Harry's security is being reevaluated, which is what everybody wanted. So now the rumor is that Harry will come back to the UK because he doesn't want to be with his wife. This is the rumor. And that Meghan Markle has effectively ditched her father and is doing a new Netflix series on what it is to be family. She's just put out this Christmas series on how important it is to be family when her husband doesn't speak to his family and she doesn't speak to her family. But apparently the children are surrogates and she was wearing a moon bump, which would fit with the way that she kept touching her tummy. When I was pregnant, I mean, I've got 5 children. When I was pregnant, occasionally, you put your hand on your tummy, or you'd use it as a ledge, or sometimes the plate would go on top of the bump. But you wouldn't walk around sort of hugging your bump all the time. But apparently she had a moon bump on. So that is the general lowdown. And William and Kate are obviously not happy at all, and will strip the Sussexes of their titles as soon as William becomes king, if he ever becomes king. But yeah, Meghan Markle is the topic. And you can go and look on channels like Piers Morgan, Dan Wootton, Lady C. It's all out there on YouTube. It's just the mainstream media are keeping it quite quiet.
I bet they are.
Just thought I'd let you know that. Yeah, just keeping an eye
Nothing
on
like
the
a good
royals.
scandal, is there?
Just keeping an eye on the royals.
Well, Debbie, we're out of time, but it's
and-
Christmas. It's Christmas next week. It's Christmas.
It is.
It's Boxing Day next week. So if we get to do it next week, it might have to be at a different time, possibly, because I've got to take my boy to Old Trafford to watch the football, as he's bought tickets. Bless him. So I'll let you know, and I'll let everyone know.
Well, funny
if
that,
that's
because I invited some of my family for Christmas, and I thought it was all set in stone, and then they forgot that I'd invited them. So now they've gone and accepted an invitation elsewhere. So I've said, right, that's it, Boxing Day, open house. So you could be joining a party on Boxing Day.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Let's end it on the Christmas spirit anyway. So Merry Christmas to everyone. And
absolutely.
I really enjoy these Fridays, and hopefully I'm sure we will continue doing more and more of this. But I've got a little Christmas song for you, Debbie. I hope you'll enjoy this. This is nice. Yeah.
Rising up back on the street, in my time to my change.
There you go.
Do you know what? Well done for trying. Well done for
I
that. And
know,
I would say,
bless his heart.
For everybody watching, if you're with family, enjoy yourselves. And if you're on your own, enjoy the peace. Because sometimes, sometimes it's just nice to take a bit of time. And I think you're never on your own now, with all of us around, and we'll be back bobbing in, bobbing out. You're never on your own. But I think 2026, I think we need to be ready for an interesting 2026. And thank you to everybody that's subscribing and is watching. And what I would say to people that's watching now is keep an eye on Ant and I, because we will be doing more in the new year, and there will be news coming out that, well, wait and see. Wait and see.
2025 was mad enough. 2026 is about to get crazier.
Epic. It's going to be epic. Happy Christmas, Chloe and everyone.
Yeah, happy Christmas, everyone. And we'll see you very, very soon. Much love.
Very soon. Much love. Bye.